Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
An old adage in racing is that you can't win the race in the first corner, but you can certainly lose it. Brands Hatch might have something to say about that, considering just how tough it is to overtake here. Qualifying, the start, and many other factors early in the race are going to play a big part down the line as to who can take victory today. Let's see who positions themselves well as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Brands Hatch, much like this car, is an old classic. Let's head to our track guide to find out more about a British favorite. Welcome to Brands Hatch. When popular British racing circuits get listed, this track just to the southeast of London often finds itself near the top. The extensive history of the venue has meant that many famous names in racing have ran laps here. But the stats make it sound deceptively simple, with the Grand Prix and Indy course having 9 and 6 turns respectively. Laps might be short, but they're also fast, and the corners are often a challenge to get right. As you'd expect, that means passing is quite difficult, with most drivers leaning towards sending one up the inside at Druids. You might occasionally see overtakes into the first corner, Paddock Hill Bend, but the blind apex and gigantic drop in elevation make that an errand for only the brave. Many of the corner names pay tribute to famous British drivers from the past decades, such as Hill, Surtees, Sterling, and Clark. In fact, the fame extends beyond the drivers, but to the cars as well, with this place seeing everything from Formula One to Formula Ford, touring cars, GT cars, motorcycles, and even rallycross. It's a gorgeously scenic venue where lush trees envelop the back half of the course, while the front half is mostly encapsulated inside a natural amphitheater. This makes it extremely popular with race fans who can see a majority of the circuit from many seating positions. With a great location near a major metropolitan hub, a spectator-friendly layout, and an experience that challenges drivers, you can see why this place remains abuzz with racing to this day. Well, DJ, this place has a lot of things that the 79 likes with the long sweeping corners. And even knowing that, I feel like this is going to be a big difficulty raise.
It really and truly is, Joe. This is the definition of an old school circuit with not a lot of areas to be able to get an overtake done. Really look for the two main areas being going down into Paddock Hill Bend and up into Druids. But outside of that, it's going to be a lot of just you versus the car. Specifically going down through really the second half of the lap, down in through Hawthorne, through Westfield, into Sheens, that whole area. It's high speed, high commitment. And if you just get an inch of a tire off and over into the grass, that could end your day very, very quickly. It's going to be a race out here where you've just got to trust your car and trust your instincts all the way around.
Certainly. And as we take a look at the championship situation here, well, Andy T has certainly been trusting his instincts. He's gotten 2 victories on the trot, but his teammate Topi Kortiniemi has been trying to chase him for much of the season and has been pretty quick. So I wouldn't count anything as a guarantee, especially since we also have Tomas Simon here today, who is a known hot shoe in this car. Timothy Reed having a pretty good one. Gernot Freesia jumps himself up into 4th in the points with his good result last week. Let's see if he can repeat that this time out with Meyer and Pai very close together in a fight, only separated by a single point. You get down to Sanchez and Honorado, 2 points between them before things spread out a little more between Trangrade and Millward. What about in the teams standings here, DJ?
Well, in this team standing, it's even closer up at the top with a couple of Ligier chains only holding on a 1-point advantage over Abelard Williams Racing Team, with Team Essex Lotus only 4 points back and Parmalat Racing Team only 8 points back. So very, very close running there. And don't count out Equip Renault Elf, as they certainly have something to say about it. Only 11 points back themselves. Westerner Arrows Racing Team, they're about 20. Really and truly, Joe, this thing is still anybody's game in the team category.
Absolutely. Although you got to think Ferrari's got to try and pick things up a little bit here as we are in round 3 of the season. There's still time left for them to try and catch up to those at the top of the charts. 37 laps. The laps go by here very, very quickly. They're quite short with this being an old school circuit. Open setup in these cars, and though everybody does try to share them, I got to think that the setup with the high speeds around here is going to be oh so important to finding those just few tenths or even 100 drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, and it's a qualification at 25. Not expecting that to be as much of an issue, just because there's not a lot of paved runoff here today. Topi Kortiniemi is responding as we do not have Andy T with us here today, and Topi is up at the top a full 0.8 of a second ahead of Tomas Simon. Make that 0.7 ahead of Alex Millward, who just crossed the line and jumped up into second on his first lap.
Yeah, some very, very big margins at the top. Topi really looks like he is locked in, but there, right as we say it, Tomas Simon able to put down a 109.991. That's going to be 41 thousandths faster than.
He's got to find a huge margin compared to what he did before. In fact, Jani Ryanen, in the meantime, has bumped up into 3rd as we're watching Dylan Freckleton, who still needs his first timed lap, and this one should hopefully count for him as long as he didn't have an off. No, he did. So that lap gets deleted. He's really got to try and focus on this second one to keep it clean.
He's got to really, really lock in. And as we said, it's very, very easy to pick up a little bit of understeer coming around the corners here, Joe. So you've really got to make sure that you are just absolutely pixel perfect coming through here to not pick up one of those off tracks.
Millward with another improvement. He gets down to 3rd place after that. Gernot Freesia puts himself into 5th. We're watching Freckleton. Watch out for Timo Karjalainen, who still needs to set a single lap out there. In fact, I haven't seen him have his first lap deleted, so that means to me he's on his first flyer now. And thankfully, since they are so short, he should be able to come around in time to get both of them in. Only those two, Trangrade and Jack Johns, are still on to the Brabham straight. Will this be enough? Was it clean? A 1:11.1 says it was clean, and that's going to put him straight in the middle of the pack into 8th.
And that will be a little bit of solace there for him. We now watch Timo Karjalainen trying to get those times in, working his way down through the very, very quick change in direction coming from Sheens into Sterling. Kicking up a little bit of dust there on the entry into Sterling. I think he's going to be able to get away with that. Let's see if he can put a time down on the board.
The 5 crosses the line. And, oh, it doesn't count. So he must have gone just a little bit too wide somewhere as he flies down out of Paddock Bend. Let's see if he can do a little bit better this time. Still plenty of time. He'll have about 30 seconds margin, which he certainly won't need unless he has an incredibly slow lap. Taking it out of Graham Hill Bend, using up plenty, but that is fair game around here. And then it's up through Surtees. He's already halfway through this lap, DJ. So far, it's looking good to me.
Yeah, looks pretty good, carrying a lot of good speed there out of Graham Hill Bend. As you said, let's see how he lines everything up here coming into the back half of the track. This is where it can get exceptionally tricky, but Timo looks like he's got everything underneath him.
Oh, big moment, though, coming out of Westfield. He kept it on the track, though, and he kept it pointed forward. He is hustling the car. And again, that number 5 is based on his iRating, so he needs something good here because he is one of the quicker drivers in this series, and we are in top split, so trying to make those overtakes are going to be extra hard. Wheels into the grass, oh, and he loses it. That is it for Karjalainen. He's going to start from the back. Absolute disappointment for him.
Well, and that just goes to show you, Joe, the margins are razor thin around here. Just that little bit of tire going off into the grass, and that was day done and dusted there for Timo.
Well, our grid is set, and Topi Kortiniemi takes the 2 bonus points for pole position. Tomas Simon has the highest iRating, but he's not the quickest out there on a single lap. He'll start from second. We'll see if he gets a good start and is able to overtake Topi before they get into Paddock Hill Bend. Alex Millward will start from third with Jani Rainen in P4. Gernot Freesia kind of looking like he's finally getting over some of his hang-ups with this tire that's been put on a couple years ago on the car and has kind of stopped some of his domination. He'll start from 5th today. Timothy Reed will be P6. Ove Trangrade, a little low for him, starting from 7th. He'll be next to Dylan Freckleton in 8th. Kimo Viakainen will be in 9th, and Marco Kala well far down for him, all the way in 10th.
And 11th, it's going to be Karthik Pai, followed by Barry West, with Pablo Suarez and Daniel Downing making up row 7 behind them. Joshua Germany will be 15th, followed by Jack Johns, with Timo Karjalainen and Daniel Gallus both unable to put a time down.
All right, so watch this start because this is going to get interesting as everybody's probably going to be aggressive, and it's cold out there as well. 66 Fahrenheit on the track surface. Drivers are going to have to pay attention to the braking distances into Paddock Hill Bend because of that. A little bit of wind, and I don't think that should affect them too poorly as we see the rest of them gritting up here, DJ. I'm kind of curious if we're going to see everybody get through Paddock Hill Bend, frankly.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit hairy, a little bit tricky for drivers to be able to get through, but this is the top split, and I've got to think that they're going to try to push themselves forward and try to be nice and clean.
It's only the 3rd round of the season, but you need consistency. Topi Kortiniemi knows that. He wants that championship. And with guys like Simone and Millward here today, that's going to make it tough. Looks like they're all out there. So the engines will now start to rev here at Brands Hatch as the lights come up. And the green flag is out. Off the line. It's a very good start there for our pole sitter, Kortiniemi. Shimon is swamped, and it looks like Alex Millward will sneak into second right at the start behind them. Freesia is able to fend off Ryan in. Not seeing major offs, although we got a couple slow cars. Gallus and Josh Germany seeming to have some trouble off the line.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a kerfluffle there in the back. It looked like somebody's steering lock may have been on. Little bit of bumping and banging, and that's going to be Karthik Pai taking a trip through the grass.
The Texan doesn't hit anything, but he is way off, and he falls all the way down to 16th because of it. Everybody up at the front is clean, though, as we come over Pilgrim's Drop. And Topi Kortiniemi leads Millward, leads Shimon with Freesia in behind.
And there they work their way down that long straightaway through Pilgrim's Drop. As you said, not really enough braking going down into Hawthorne Bend to normally get a pass done. And it really becomes follow the leader through this very, very quick back sector.
Already, Simone is climbing all over the gearbox of Alex Millward in that 10 car. Got very close down through Sterling, but starts to fall back slightly now as they complete lap 1. Cortinemi wants Alex probably to hold up Tomas as much as he can, because I have a feeling that Simone is going to be quick enough, if not to catch, at least hang with Topi here today.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, Joe. We have seen so much speed out of Tomas Simone over the previous seasons that we've seen him in this. We've got to think that he is going to be able to close up behind here, but everybody running there through Graham Hill Bend looks like everything's nice and easy.
Had a problem for Daniel Downing and somebody else with him. I'm trying to see who that is. Looks like Barry West into Paddock Hill Bend. Oh, and actually it looks like it also involved Jack Johns. We'll see if we can find a replay of it. Unfortunately, Jack Johns, the teammate of Downing. So those two, unfortunately, being involved in the same incident, although not making contact with one another. And there you can see Johns popping up into the air and Downing getting the remnants of it flying into the side of West.
Yeah, and unfortunately here for Downing, he really just had nowhere to go with that side-by-side contact, and he was just a hapless passenger coming into the incident.
Oh, and Gallus has just had a problem in Sterling. He's sent it into the wall. He's going to return to the track. So it looks like he is able to get it going. I'm not sure how the car is running, though, at this stage. We take a look at second place once again. Millward still holding on. Tomas discovering just how frustrating it can be to try and make a pass here.
Yeah, incredibly difficult. I think Tomas has really got to go into full commitment mode as Topi Cortinemi has set down the fastest lap of the race once again, already starting to pull that gap upwards of about 1.5 seconds. He's got to get a move on, Tomas does.
So we ride on board, looking over his shoulder. That's Alex just up ahead of us right now, flying through Hawthorne Bend, 1.4 seconds up to Cortinemi. It seems like it's going to start to become more urgent for the number one to try and get this pass done soon. Now, they're not under threat from those behind. You can see Freesia there in the dark blue and red. He's not quite on top of them. He's still within about a second, but it's looking like for now, Simone doesn't have to worry about fighting too hard.
No, I don't think so. He doesn't need to worry about that, but as I said, he's just got to worry about that car up ahead of him, the number 4, as the field does start to separate itself out here just a little bit more. Cortinemi, though, continuing to put down fastest lap after fastest lap.
Down through Druids, plunging back down the hill into Graham Hill Bend, and both of them using up plenty of that runoff off to the right-hand side. You can see it's still relatively close together behind them, but not seeing much in the way of passes. I think we've got an opportunity to maybe take a look at the start. I haven't actually seen what happened here, DJ. Did you get an eye on what happened off the line?
I caught it out of the back of my eye, Joe. I wonder if it may have just been a little bit of wheel spin that caused one of the cars to just sort of spear off. Oh, no, it looked like a little bit of an opportunistic move, maybe going down to the inside, and that's what caused the two to hit.
So Josh Germany, and who was that in the Renault that got into him? I'm trying to make it out.
I believe that may have been Suarez, Joe.
Oh, well, it's always frustrating when you don't even get across the start line and get your race underway. Unfortunately for both of them, seems to have been the case here today. So we've lost Pablo Suarez, Josh Germany, and Barry West. Downing has returned to the track, or he's trying to return to the track. Yeah, he just came out and is letting people go. So he is rolling, but he's a lap down. Meanwhile, we're watching second and third. That is Millward in the white machine. Tomas Simone in the light blue that is chasing him. Simone started from second, so he's lost a spot. Millward gained that position from him by being better off the line and overtaking into Paddock Hill Bend. And since then, that blue car has been stuck here.
Yeah, just hasn't really even seemed to be able to get close enough to really put massive pressure here on Alex Millward. And I wonder if that's a little bit of Tomas Shimon just sort of letting the race come to him, or if it is a little bit of lack of pace here, that he may just not be able to catch up to the back of Millward and get the move done.
Yeah, it might be. And had another pass. Timo Karjalainen, who, as we know, had to start from the back, just overtook Jack Johns and puts himself up into 12th. Not as much progress as I thought he would be making as we head back to Timothy Reed here, watching from the 7. He's chasing on Ryanen, but he's got some company behind. Marco Kala is not too far off, so he's got to be careful about what sort of moves he makes, as he has a little bit of a bobble out of Paddock Hill Bend, but it switches around through Druids, and back down they go.
Yeah, back down again, and that is one of the areas where you can see a pass potentially get made, setting up a little bit of a run, but a bobble there from Tomas Shimon coming down out of Graham Hill Bend. You saw that car get a little bit squirrely coming up onto that grass.
And that's Marco Kala, who I just mentioned was trying to chase them. He got even squirrelier. We couldn't see it on our cameras because we were facing forward, but he did a full 360 coming out of Graham Hill Bend and did not hit anything. Let's take a look at the replay. Not sure. Is it maybe the curb? Yeah. Oh, wow. You can see the bounce there.
Yeah, that was a big bounce of the curb. And Joe, that really what that did is that upsets the ground effect in this car. Remember, the majority of the downforce in these Lotus 79s generated from the Venturi tunnels underneath the car, getting sucked into the track. And if you take a big bump like that, whoa!
Reed is around. Cars are having to scatter to avoid him, and he's able to get off the track in time. Wow, that was close for Viakainen Trangarade. Freckleton even, I think, had to try and go around him. Let's take one more look at it, and this time I don't think it was the curb so much as getting contact with the grass. This will be out of Clark.
So bringing it down here through clearways, comes down through the corner. Does he just, yeah, the rear tire there, just the slightest touch onto the grass, and that's enough to send him around.
Ove having to make a big move out of the way to try to keep from getting involved in that. In fact, I think it lost him a position to Viakainen. Yes, it did in his escape. So he's going to want to try and make up for that, but probably glad that he's at least still rolling.
Yeah, he's going to be happy that he's able to keep rolling here, but as we've seen, positions are so hard to come by around this Brands Hatch circuit. He's going to have a lot of work to do, not only to be able to catch up to the back here of Viakainen, but to just even get the pass done.
Well, that's 2 lucky escapes here. I'm not anticipating that being the norm, DJ. We can see just how close the barriers are, and you can see the speeds that these cars are taking around here as Topi Kortaniemi actually takes the fastest lap, speaking of speed. But 2 drivers managing to spin and not hit anything seems awful lucky at this track to me.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. This is normally a place where you spin and you are done, Joe. But drivers being able to keep everything together a little bit and keep everything contained and not having too many problems, I'm very surprised as well.
Ove still trying to get back up to the back of Kimo in the 16 as we watch from the helmet cam here of the number 13 car. We're barely into this race as well. We're only on lap 8 of this thing out of 37, so there's a lot of racing left to go. He's going to have opportunities, but he might find exactly what Tomas Shimon has been finding, and that now that he's been overtaking, it's a question of what do I do from here?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question there. Little bit of sideways action there for Ove coming up and out of the corner, trying to keep everything together here. As you said, Joe, there's a lot of this race left to go. At this point, what he has got to do is just keep running his race as much as possible, try to avoid any negative effects of the dirty air that's in front of him, and just keep pointed forward.
Ooh, that was a big catch that we just hopped on board for Daniel Gallus, and thankfully didn't throw the car away. He's currently down in 14th. That's Jack Johns just in front of him. And he's going to see if he can maybe catch up to the car that might be damaged. In fact, I'm pretty certain that the nose is quite damaged. Yeah, look at that. That angle really showed us as he flew by along the Brabham Straight. Johns suffering with a very bent front wing.
Yeah, and that's going to really hurt the turn in of the car. He's not going to get the grip on the nose that he would really like to, and it's really no surprise that he's found himself falling down the order a little bit here.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, he got popped into the air after he had a little bit of contact with Barry West and didn't hit the wall, but definitely upset the car, bounded all four wheels up into the sky, and then came down into the sand trap before he was able to return to the track. As we check back in once again, not just on Viakainen, but Freckleton, who has managed to pass Kimo and Ove Trangrade, 2 positions up for him at this stage in the race, but it's starting to look like while he got those early, he's starting to be reeled in now.
Well, and we haven't really gotten the chance to talk about it over the course of this race, Joe, but remember, these cars change drastically over the course of a fuel run. As they get lighter, they get looser, they get squirrelier. It very much may be a thing where Dylan had that car set up a little bit for a heavy fuel load, and now he's finding himself in a little bit of trouble, and the car's not exactly suiting him now that the fuel is starting to burn off.
Well, and we saw that last week at Australia with Andy T and Topi Kortaniemi. Andy stuck behind Topi for a good chunk of the race, and then suddenly at the very end, he came alive, passed him, and never looked back. So I wonder, if what you said is what we're seeing here, where drivers maybe are just trying to let the car settle in, let the race come to them, and then charge forward later on.
Very well could be, especially around a track like this that is so hard to overtake. You don't really want to limit your chance. You want to sort of limit your opportunities on it. You don't want to be too aggressive, because that's a one-way ticket to disaster. And you also don't want to show your hand when your car is not fully underneath you.
Getting awful close here to Kimo, as Ove has gotten within about 0.3 of a second, but a big slide, which is actually, frankly, kind of normal for Ove Trangrade, who tends to like a loose car, but that hurt him, and it went from 0.2 back up to 0.5.
Yeah, it's going to grow up there a little bit, and he's got to be a little bit careful. That's Marco Kayla, only about 0.5 of a second behind him, so a little bit of a three-way fight now starting to develop.
Marco also a little bit out of position. Remember, he had that big spin earlier on coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Did Daniel Gallus just have a problem? Yes, he did. Coming into Paddock Hill Bend, he's in the barriers, and unfortunately, this was due to contact.
Oh no, as we jump back to check out the replay here, this is going to be coming down through the final curve there, down to Clark Curve. And let's see exactly what happens to him. Gets a great run trying to come in behind. He's going to be side by side there, and big kathunk.
And once again, Jack Johns having contact in Paddock Hill Bend. Not sure who I'd put this one on. It was hard to tell from that angle, but Jack Johns giving Daniel Gallus one right on the Jack Johnson this time. As we head over to Tomas Simon, who has caught back up. It was at 0.8 of a second for multiple laps up to Alex Millward, and now he's starting to make his push. Now he is coming forward, has it down to 0.5 a second.
And remember, that car just getting lighter here for Tomas, and he's going to know that. And now he's also been able to spend about 12 laps sitting behind Alex Millward and kind of learning what he's going to do, learning his tendencies around this track. And hopefully here, if you're Tomas Simon, you're going to be able to exploit that.
As they head through Sterling, he's still keeping touch with him. Pretty much on pace, not seeing him ebb and flow around the lap where it comes forward and moves backwards. He's pretty much matching Alex Millward. In fact, this looks like he gained about 1/10 this time by, as he has a blink, unfortunately. That's not going to be good if they have to fight pretty close, especially later on in the race. And look at how much of the track they are using on the brakes. Very good for Tomas as he gets it down to 0.3 of a second. And we head back to Kayla now.
Yeah, Marco Kayla looking on the charge here, trying to get by Ove Trangrade, going to try to send one down to the inside of Druids. That's going to push Ove just a little bit wide, but not able to get it done. There is Kayla.
Interesting change of the chemistry of this race for Ove Trangrade. He was on the attack just moments ago, and now he's sliding and he's around. And from attack to defense has elicited a mistake out of the Norwegian. He's not just going to lose it to Kayla, but there goes Karthik Pai as well past him.
I don't think he suffered too much damage on that car, maybe just a little bit of a bruised ego as he came through. But we've talked about before, Ove likes that car very, very loose, very, very quick. And sometimes around a tricky track like this, it can certainly come back to bite you.
Back on to Tomas's roll bar. And I'm not sure if we could see this before, but I'm just noticing it for the first time. His wing has a little damage on the left front. That's kind of normal for this car. We've seen them clip curbs, but I'm trying to think of which curb is tall enough around here for him to do that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of high curbing necessarily to get clipped like that. I wonder maybe just a little bit of a run through the second half of the circuit potentially. But that's not going to affect him too terribly much. That's not going to be enough to really throw off the car. It's more of just a minor inconvenience at this point.
Well, let's hope it doesn't get any worse for him. It certainly doesn't seem to be hurting him because he's kept it within those seconds of Simone. Karjalainen, who just at the fastest lap of the race, just overtook Timothy Reed. And there's a pass for you at this track. So clean one for the 5 car, now up into 11th. He sets his sights on Ove Trangarade after his recent mistake.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a surprising area to be able to make that overtake. As we said, the area where you normally expect it, Joe, is going to be going down into Paddock Hill Bend or Druids. And getting it passed up through Grand Hill Bend, that is maximum commitment.
Yeah, great stuff for Timo. Kind of what we expected out of him. Gotta wonder where he would have put the car if he had gotten a qualifying lap, as Alex Millward now sets the fastest lap of the race. So he's also starting to push and see if he can get away from Shimon, which he has. It's grown from 5/10 now to 8/10. Interesting.
Very interesting indeed. Alex Millward responding as we ride on board with Marco Kayla trying to get by Valkainen there up ahead of him. And you saw a little bit of a wider run through Druids. Great speed down through Graham Hill Bend. Here comes the pass down into Surtees. Done and dusted.
Or is it? He goes a little wide through Surtees. Valkainen also missing the apex. That could have been a nice over-under for the 16 car. So one Raccoon Racing car swaps with another. That team is starting to really take over this series because it's not just these two. Topi Kortiniemi races for that. We've also got Karjalainen as a part of that team, and though he's not here, he does regularly show up. Andy T, also a part of Raccoon Racing.
Yeah, very much becoming a powerhouse in this Lotus 79 series, and good to see them being able to come alive like that and really change things up. This used to be a much smaller outfit, and they've expanded over the years and added some great talent to their pool.
I wonder if any of the other drivers on the team are watching, or if Andy T is out there watching. I'm curious to know the story behind the name, where Raccoon Racing came from, because I know we talked at one point about whether or not raccoons were native to Finland, and the answer is a kind of no. They've been there for some years now, but they were brought over from North America and are an invasive species, we found out. So it's a mostly Finnish team. I'm not sure why they chose raccoons, as we now check in on Ove Trangarade once again. And while he's looking at the back of Karthik Pai, if he's also spying his mirrors, he will see the number 5 of Timo getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, Timo's being able to get that gap down. It's down to about 1 second as they run, and there you can see it. Although I've got to say, Timo definitely has to watch out as Ove Trangarade. Whoa!
Oh, Karjalainen with a big moment, and he catches it, but has another one coming through Westfields, pushing maybe just a little bit too hard. And all the time that he had gained on Ove, he's lost and is going to have to get back together. Let's watch this from on board. This has got to be frightening.
Absolutely terrifying, Joe, as he comes down here under Pilgrim's Drop, and just this is the margin for error around this circuit. Just a little bit out onto the grass, catches it, keeps his foot in it, comes through, clips the grass a little bit more. Wow.
Fantastic catch. Unbelievable stuff from the 5. And he actually didn't lose all that much time, maybe a few tenths. He's already got it back together and is 4 tenths behind Ove Trangarade. Oh, another little slide there, though, from Timo. Again, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. I think he might be pushing a little too hard.
Yeah, and there, I mean, even you can see just coming out of Surtees, a little bit of a bobble of the car there. That tells me that he is absolutely pushing as hard as he can. Now we've got a little bit of a wrinkle starting to play itself up for Alex Millward and Tomas Shimon. That is Jack Johns, a lapped car. They're going to be able to clear him, but that had the potential to be a little bit interesting.
Yeah, and our fans of Formula One might, be wondering what's the big deal about that. This isn't like modern Formula One here in iRacing, DJ. The blue flags don't quite mean the same thing.
Yeah, it's not like modern F1 where you got two corners to get out of the way. The blue flags are merely mentions, let's call them. It's just sort of a, hey, you got a car coming up behind you, but you are not obligated to get out of the way.
Purely informational, as the rules state here on iRacing. So it's basically letting you know that there is a faster car that is a lap ahead or more that's coming up behind you. Meanwhile, as we watch Tomas Shimon, who still stays put behind Millward, he's got, if he is able to get past at any point, he's got to make up 3.5 seconds now to catch up to Topi Kortsuniemi. Topi still looking for his first win of the season, probably enjoying not having to fret about that number one hunting him down. Meanwhile, back to Trangrade and Karjalainen still on the gearbox of Karthik Pai. Karthik has not had a perfect race himself. In fact, all three of these, I think, have all made their own mistakes today.
Yeah, indeed they have, Joe, and that's really setting up a great battle here as Millward sets the fastest lap of the race in his defense of Tomas Shimon. But a great run there coming out of the back end of the circuit for Timo Karjalainen. He's looking to pressure Ove here on the main straightaway.
It's very close. I don't know if he's close enough, though. It'll take a wild dive to try and make a pass into Paddock Hill Bend. They all scrunch together as they accordion closer. And this is looking very good for Timo now. He tries to brake late, but Trangrade is later. However, he leaves the door open, trying to attack on Karthik Pai. Not able to sneak through. Now it's going to get even more interesting because we're starting to see some pass attempts amongst them.
Yes, we are. As we said, the car's getting lighter, car's getting looser. That means you could really chuck it into the corners a little bit more. This is normally in the part of the race when you definitely start to see these more aggressive moves getting thrown.
And we are getting to the halfway point as well. That's Timothy Reed starting to close in behind them, about a second back in the number 7 machine. Could be a 4-car fight pretty soon. Kortsuniemi with another fastest lap up in the upper right of your screen. As these three fly through Sheen and into Sterling. Timo's getting almost within touching distance. I got to think pretty soon he's going to actually have a go.
Yeah, I got to think so as well, Joe. Definitely trying to put the screws here. But now look at that. Coming down through Clark Curve, it looks like advantage switches over to Ove as he gets a good run. He's going to have a look down to the inside of Karthik Pai.
He's got the overlap coming into Paddock Bend, but it looks like he's too shallow into the corner. Now he has to play defense instead. Timo breaking deep the long way around through Druids. Doesn't quite get the spot, but it does give him a little bit of a nose ahead himself. And now into Graham Hill Bend, he is through.
That was some great heads up there from Timo Karjalainen to be able to get that move done, recognizing Ove was put offline, recognizing the problem, and now he's going to have the chance to attack on Karthik Pai.
Ove thought maybe he was going to gain a spot. Instead, he lost one in the end, but he's still with it. And now this definitely allowed Timothy Reed to get within 0.2 of a second himself. 4 cars are certainly in a fight now. But man, Karjalainen's on a mission. He's already nearly up and underneath the rear wing of Karthik Pai. Now through Sterling. Pai's trying to pick up the pace. He sees him in his mirrors. He knows he's got to try and fight hard.
Yes, he does, and Karthik Pai just trying to focus on running the lines that he can here at this point. Looks like there that Timo's got a little bit of a run. He's going to look down to the inside of Paddock Hill Bend.
Last time this didn't work out well for Trangrade, but it looks like Karjalainen learned the lessons that Ove did not and makes the pass stick. Ove also learned a few tricks. He's going to go around the outside, but he can't quite execute the way that the Finn can, and the Norwegian stays put in 10th.
And that has really now allowed for Timothy Reed to be right up and involved in this battle. Look how close he's running behind Ove Trangrade.
So is the number 7 car. Watches from behind. Can he maybe try and get a pass done? Unfortunately, they've spread out in front of him, so what could have maybe helped him before has dissipated. Oh, another moment coming out of Hawthorne, the second time in this race. Karjalainen touching the grass as he comes out of that corner and somehow living to tell the tale.
Very, very sketchy stuff there from Timo Karjalainen, but somehow just able to hold on to that car, and that is very, very impressive, Joe. When these Lotus 79s break away, they break in a big way, and they are very difficult to keep back up under you.
Oh, Viekainen and Freckleton side by side into the first corner. Freckleton comes out ahead of the 16, but looks like Kimo's not done with him. He tries to attack coming up into Druids, runs out of grip on the outside, and in fact, the wheels start to spin as he accelerates out of Druids.
Yeah, he's going to lose a little bit of ground there, and Freckleton going to be able to keep himself up into 6th place.
Well, that happened very suddenly. I didn't realize those two were close enough that they were going to be in a battle, and I'm checking, and there wasn't any major mistakes. It's just Kimo got a good run onto the Brabham straight, and Freckleton had to try and defend, and he did so successfully. So on the back half of the course now, with 16 laps to go, Freckleton is made aware that Kimo has intentions of removing that 6th spot from his grasp.
Yes, he does, and it's going to be interesting to see here if Dylan decides to drive a little bit differently, maybe drive a little bit more defensive, if that's going to throw off his style as he runs, or if he's just going to be able to keep running the same line that he was.
Looks like we've lost Marco Kayla, and yeah, this happened on lap 21 for him. On his own, he lost control coming out of Paddock Hill Bend, smashed it into the tire barrier, and that was day done.
Yeah, rough run there for Marco. We have seen just how difficult it can be around this track as we go back to check out the replay of exactly what happened.
So off the corner. Oh, and once again, it's on the curb that the car starts to lose control for him. I wonder if the ride height of that car just did not like the curbs today.
Yeah, that could very well be it. I mean, obviously, you want to run these cars as low as possible to the ground to be able to maximize that ground effect. But sometimes when you're dealing with elevation change, you've got to be a little bit more skeptical about it and a little bit more cautious from the way that it runs. And I've got to agree with you, Joe. I think ride height maybe played into that.
We come back to our battle for second place with Shimon still claiming the fastest lap. These cars known for being quicker and quicker as the race goes on. They burn off a lot of fuel. But put yourself in the number one car here, DJ. What can he do here? It seems like he and Alex are almost perfectly matched with one another on pace. So we haven't seen him really get close enough in quite some time.
Yeah, we haven't, and I wonder a little bit if that is Shimon just trying to hold back a little bit, just kind of waiting, recognizing that he may not have the pace for Topi Kortenemi, but at this point, I mean, I think you've just got to try to amp up the pressure a little bit more, maybe drive outside of your bounds just a hair more, not pushing too far over the line, but just seeing if you're able to get anything.
We head back to Freckleton in 6th, Viekainen behind him. Is getting close. Oh, is he lifting? What was happening there? And as he almost makes an overtake around the outside of Hawthorne, he's going to get close down through Westfield, still defending. Freckleton doesn't want to give this one up, but for some reason, it looked like he was lifting on the straightaway.
I wonder if he maybe misfueled the car a little bit and is running about a lap short and has got to do some fuel saving, Joe. That's about the only reason I can think he'd be lifting going down through Pilgrim's Drop.
Taking a listen. Yeah, it sounded like a bit of a lift from me as I went onto my replay and listened on board. So, man, that is strange. We're going to try and take another look at it here. Or no, this is with Ove Trangrade. What happened here?
Looks like Ove's coming down through the corners there. Is the car getting a little bit squirrely on him? Whoa! Around goes Ove and into the wall.
Well, it was going to be a pretty decent drive for him, if not a great one, but that's day done. He has retired from the race. We are down to only 13 cars still running. It actually looks like the 15 of Daniel Downing made the right call of repairing his car and getting back out on track. He's gained a lot of spots just through attrition.
Yeah, he has. He's all the way up to 13th right now, and he's going to be up into 12th by the end of the race. Is Millward again setting the fastest lap of the race. By the way, it looks like Thomas Shimon has really fallen off the back there. He's about 2 seconds behind Millward now.
And last lap was a 112 compared to 110s that he has been doing. So I'm going to take a wild stab and say that he had a mistake. Checking to see. No, I'm not seeing it. Well, this is very, very strange. Nothing looked really all that out of sorts on that last lap. Are there multiple drivers maybe that are looking to be shy on fuel?
I mean, potentially, Joe. That's the only thing I can kind of think of here. If they may have just miscalculated it a little bit or have taken a strategic risk in underfueling the car to try to get it a little bit lighter and run a little bit faster.
Okay, so theory here. They often have a set that guys like Gernot Frische, Topi Korteniemi share, and a lot of people will use. I wonder if because of the low temperatures, it's a faster pace than everybody anticipated, and the set that many are using just doesn't have as much fuel as they thought they'd need.
Very well could be the case. I mean, these drivers are going to be in constantly checking their telemetry as they run around and keeping an eye on that, and it could be something that it's just with as chilly as it is, threw everything off.
Just increase the pace, and drivers whipping around here a lot quicker than they thought. The good news is it is such a short lap that should be able to save an extra lap if they need it. But Timothy Reed has no concerns about saving right now. His concern is overtaking on Karthik Pai down into Paddock Hill Bend. He doesn't completely have the job done, but he's mostly ahead of him, and he finishes it up here in Druids.
Nice move there. You saw Karthik trying to fight back around the outside there a little bit. Unfortunately, just not really able to do it. Druids is not a banked corner, so you're not really able to carry nearly as much speed there around the outside, and that was a good move there for Timothy Reed.
So he is up to ninth. He lost a lot early on in this race. He is still down 3 from where he began. Biggest mover is, no surprise, Timo Karjalainen up 9. But again, he didn't set a qualifying lap here today. Jack John's not doing too shabby. He's up 9. Whoa, no! Reed gets the spot and immediately hands it back, chucking the car off the road, coming through Westfield. He takes a tow, and I guess he's decided that's enough for today.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of frustration rearing its ugly head there, Joe. When you have a spin this late on into the race, when you've had a bit of an up and down race, it's just sometimes easier to disconnect and to take it.
That's disappointing. Timothy was starting to really make inroads on getting back what he had lost. So that's another one for Daniel Downing. Now going to be up into 11th place at this point. So almost halfway through the field. And in fact, yeah, if we get down to 9 cars, that is literally half of them to have DNF'd here today.
Well, it's not altogether unsurprising, Joe. We talked a little bit coming into this that this is an old school, fast, tricky circuit as we watch here. A little bit of a move from Timo Karjalainen down to the inside of Dylan Freckleton.
Freckleton really in just limp home mode here. That's another spot as Karjalainen gets now up to 7th place. 2 seconds to catch up to his fellow Finn on Raccoon Racing and see if he could pass Viekainen with 9 laps to go from there. I doubt we'll see many more spots for Timo because Jani Rajanen is a full 6 seconds up the road from Kimmo Viekainen as we watch Freckleton ride behind Timo just for a brief moment. And just saw Jack Johns overtake Timothy Reed after Reed had his tow. So that's Jack Johns now up into 10th. The only other car a lap down besides Daniel Downing, that number 6, having to let a few of our faster drivers pass as we take a look now at Topi Korteniemi in the number 4. It's a 4-second gap down to Alex Millward currently.
And that is as most comfortable as we've seen it over the course of the entire race here for Topi. He is definitely going to be, I think, in a little bit of coast mode. But the caveat with that is certainly saying the fact that for him, this is a circuit where you've got to be full commitment the entire time. If you try to back off around here, that's when you could see yourself limiting and having some mistakes slip in. So I think he's just going to keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah, doesn't need to completely blow the field away here. 4 seconds is comfortable enough. He just has to ride within his margins in these final 8 laps. And Millward has been dutiful back there in second place, preventing Tomas Simon from being able to overtake. But now doesn't seem to have to worry about that himself, because Tomas still almost 2 seconds behind him, having mysteriously slow laps in there. A 1:12 was actually followed by his personal best at a 1:10.9. So I'm still not totally sure what is happening with the number 1 car out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, Joe. It's a bit of a mystery. Although as he runs right now, he's got about 7 seconds and change over Gernot Prix in 4th place. So hopefully we'll be able to talk to Tomas on the podium here and figure out exactly what was going on.
Yeah, hopefully he'll hop in and give us a little bit of a chat here. But Alex Millward, another fastest lap of the race. That, to me, says that your theory is right, that Topi Kortaniemi is just kind of easing off a little bit, letting Alex do what he wants and try to catch him. But for now, Topi's not going to risk the car. Timo Karjalainen, I said he had a bit to catch up to Viikainen. That bit is gone. It's down to 0.2 of a second, and both of them swinging it down through Paddock Hill Bend. This is close, but not close enough for Timo.
No, not close enough, but you notice they're going down into Paddock Hill Bend that Timo was a little bit later on the binders. That just tells me he's got a little bit more confidence in the car, feels it out a little bit better, and he's going to be able to push himself a little bit more. Again, they're going through Surtees later on the brakes. Almost had to check himself up. He was so late on the brakes.
Timo Karjalainen, who failed to set a time in qualifying, is going to take another one. Oh, and he sends his teammate off the course. Kimo into the wall. I don't think there was actual contact between them, but he definitely scared him off the course. Oh, and is that a spin from Timo? It is. Dylan Freckleton gets the spot back. I don't know if that's racing karma or what, but Karjalainen goes back to 7th.
And that was a beautiful 360 there from Timo Karjalainen to be able to catch the car and bring it back around. Shades of Rush actually coming down through that corner, frankly.
Which was shot here as well for quite a bit of it too. But man, Kimmo Viikainen, now our latest victim, meaning we are going to be down to 10 drivers left on track. And we're only 6 laps to go. We need Johns and Downing to stick with it and try to keep us above that half the field mark and see enough of them get to the finish. And the way that this series does points, if I remember correctly, when it splits like this, those guys who have DNF'd might not get points here today. I believe it is, when it splits, it is the overall race length. So if you don't finish the laps, you don't wind up finishing within the same realm as those in front of you. So those guys are going to be scored way down the order.
Yeah, they will. And just as tight as we've seen both the teams and the Drivers' Championship, that could have some pretty big implications as they run. As you watch Dylan Freckleton there, he is not letting up at all. Absolutely cutting across the corners there, coming down through Sheens. He is still pushing here. He knows Timo's got some pace behind him.
Yeah, looking through, I think Simone might be racing for Ligier. I'm not totally sure on that, but Freesia running for the Essex team, for the Lotus team, and he is currently going to be hauling in some good points himself. So Freesia in that number 2, who hasn't really gained much. He's up 1 spot from where this race started, is at least going to cruise home with something of a quiet one here today as it sits right now.
Yeah, and I think from, we've kind of documented some of the struggles that Gernot has had recently coming back through the field. I think this will be a good result for him, something he can hang his hat on this early in the season.
Another fastest lap from our leader, Topi, here towards the end. And that actually is important. I know we keep mentioning it. That is another 2 bonus points out there today. So Topi already has 2 with the pole. If he gets the fastest lap, that means with the win, he'll get a perfect score of 60 points today.
Well, that'll be a pretty good result there for Topi. It'll certainly help him along over the course of the championship run. He'll be very, very happy with a result like that. He's just got to keep it on the black stuff for another 4 laps.
Go! Oh, Timo Karjalainen. How many times have we seen him have moments here today and the car's still rolling? This has been a sloppy one, but it hasn't been without thrills. I'll give him that.
Yeah, that is very, very true, Joe, and it's just kind of the nature of Brands Hatch. It is a tricky circuit that if you make the most minuscule of errors around it will come back to bite you.
He's still chasing on Freckleton after his 360. He needs to try and re-overtake him if he at least wants 6th place, and again, that's probably as high as he's going to go. This is the last position that he'll get unless we get a wreck in front of him. So he does have impetus to try and push and get what he can here as they come down through Sterling, much tighter down to the apex for the number 5 compared to Freckleton there. And you can see the difference it made. It's now 0.3 of a second between them.
0.3 of a second with 3 laps to go. I think Timo is ready to try to get that move on as quickly as possible, and he's going to even have a look here going down through Paddock Hill Bend. Tries to take it on the outside, but Dylan forcing him a little bit wide. He's going to have to go the long way around Druids.
Oh, and unfortunately, and another mistake. Yet again, he'll be able to keep the car rolling. Karthik Pai is way back there, so he should be able to stay in the 7th position. And Timo is going to have to settle for this spot. Unless we get somebody wrecking in front, that is it. Got to say, though, Freckleton has been fantastic to get today. Dylan goes electric and keeps everybody who challenged him behind.
Yeah, very much so. Just putting up a very stout defense, really from the beginning of the race there. We talked about him pushing a little bit wide coming through Paddock Hill Bend, just keeping everything together as Tomas Shimon, not to be outdone, tries to take the fastest lap of the race there.
And he's 8 seconds behind. When did that happen? I'm trying to see if he had an off. I'm not finding anything. I think maybe just traffic has cost him dearly because he wasn't off last lap that I could find, unless it goes back to what we posited earlier, that maybe he's a little bit shy on fuel. Actually, maybe we should go on board with Shimon and try to see if we can listen and see if he's lifting and coasting. Didn't sound like it into Sterling. Let's see here into Clark. No? This is very, very strange.
Yeah, utterly bizarre here, Joe, and I'm not really sure I have the answer from Tomas Shimon.
You know what it could be? I wonder if he damaged the under tray as we go to the final lap now, and you see Kortaniemi only having to take it around one more time.
Yeah, that could very well be it. You know, we talked about the damage on the front wings to some of the curb strikes around here. We didn't talk about what it can do to the under tray. If you do get a little bit of that underside damage, that can massively throw off the car and really put you in a compromised position. I wonder if that's it.
Well, we heard from Andy last week that he was going on vacation for a few weeks, so we kind of knew he wasn't going to be here. Topi Kortaniemi most likely knew that as well. He knew he had to try and take advantage of it. One of his rivals, his teammate, not able to score points, and he needed to try and take maximum here to prevent anybody from trying to challenge him this season. And Topi Kortaniemi has done that. He's at least going to get the pole and the victory for 58. The question is whether or not it's going to be fastest lap, and it doesn't appear to be the case, but a well-earned victory for him as Millward comes home in second, and a unfortunate run for Tomas Shimon forces him to settle for third.
Yeah, he's going to be back in third there. Gernot Frisha having a good run to the day, though. He will come home in fourth right now, and it looks like Yanni Ryan will be able to cross over the line in fifth.
A gain of 10 spots for Timo Karjalainen in that number 5. Probably could have been so many more. after multiple off tracks and 2 spins, I believe, over the course of the race for him here today. But that's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Brands Hatch, round 3 of the Sunday Grand Prix Series sees Topi Korteniemi finally get a win, but Andy T wasn't here to try and challenge him. We'll see how he feels about that in a bit. Alex Millward followed him home. Great start from him, got him into second place, and he never relinquished it over Tomas Simon, who started on the front row and just could not get off the line. Gerda Frische was behind him off the podium in 4th with Yanni Ryan, and a quiet race for him to get a top 5. Dylan Freckleton having to play defense for much of the race, finished in 6th. Timo Karjalainen, a sloppy one for the 5 car. Didn't even get a qualifying time in, tried to charge through the field and could only get to 7th after multiple spins. Karthik Pai was 8th today, and Jack Johns was not the last one to finish, but was 2 laps down 9th, and Daniel Downing did see the checkered flag 4 laps down in 10th, DJ.
In 11th, it was Kimo Väikäläinen, and they're in 11th, followed by Timothy Reed with Ove Trangrade, Marco Kayla, Daniel Gallus, Barry West, Pablo Suarez, and Joshua Germany, all having some problems and not seeing the end of the race.
So looks like we got to wait a little bit longer. Topi usually comes in and chats with us, so we'll give him a second to try and recoup after that well-earned victory here today. About 1.6 seconds ahead of Millward, so it looks like he was backing off. And here we go. We've got him ready to join us now. So let's have a chat with Topi. Topi, a win, but we asked as we went through the results, how does it feel, though, knowing that Andy wasn't here today? Does it feel a bit of a hollow victory? Does it still mean a lot to you?
I don't know what to say. It's still a victory, and the first one for me in the 79. So, and I beat Simon, so so beating a black stripe is also something. So, but yeah, I don't know. I was like 2 or 4 tenths of Andy's pace early in the week, and made some setup work and gained a couple of tenths. So if Andy was here, I think it would have been a close battle.
You know what? I hadn't even been looking at the stats there. Didn't realize you hadn't had a win yet here in this series. Congratulations on that one, then, because I'm sure that is something to feel good about. And as you mentioned, Tomas beating him definitely takes a lot of effort. Did you focus a lot on trying to get that 1 lap pace over the course of the week, knowing how hard it is to pass here, knowing that the pole would help that immensely?
Yeah, because I know that you get so much dirtier in the fast pits, and it's just so hard to get past anyone. So basically, quali is almost like 80% of the win here.
And of course, Alex Millward kind of helped you on that when he managed to overtake Tomas. When you looked back and saw that he had slipped to third, was there kind of a big yes in your head after that?
Yeah, I thought that I knew that Alex was fast, but knowing that he has pressure from Tomas, I knew he was easy to make a mistake or they can battle together and I can extend the gap easily. So, yeah. It's a shame that if Tomas had stayed second, it would have been a good battle, but I'll take my first win.
Absolutely. And now, Andy had mentioned he's going to have to miss a few races with him gone. So your teammate's going to be disadvantaged here. What does that tell you about championships hope for the season?
I talked with Andy about it, and he might be able to make 8 races this season. So I can't slack off if I'm going for the championship.
Well, I'm sure you'll put in 100%. Congratulations. Anybody you want to shout out?
Oh yeah, Raccoon Boys and Andretti for the setup tips, and you guys, of course, and sorry, I don't know, anybody watching.
All right. Well, that's good enough for me, as that was Topi Kortinemi, who took the victory here today for the first time in the Lotus 79 series. So I'm a bit bummed that we didn't catch that one before we got to the checkered flag. But DJ is talking to Alex Millward, who got to the checkered flag in second, holding off a black stripe.
Indeed, you did, Alex. That has got to feel pretty good to be able to hold off Tomas Shimon like that, to hold on to second place.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got Tomas behind you, you kind of feel like he's just toying with his prey, you know? So seeing that little blue car in my mirror for however many laps it was pretty stressful and really threw me off my race. I just kept making so many tiny little mistakes at the beginning of that race, where it just felt like Topi was consistent and taking it away. Got that 2-second gap or so, and it was just so tough, yeah.
So was it really all about just kind of management going forward in the middle and later stages of that race, just keeping all tires on the black stuff? That's kind of sounds like what your game plan was.
No, I was pushing and taking risks. I was really pushing as hard as I could. I was taking as much of the tarmac as possible, and yeah, there was a few moments where I almost lost it in the fast stuff. I think the car came good in the second half. I mean, I was really pushing. But Topi, I think, had already had that gap. And then as soon as I got close after a bit of traffic, like there seemed to be like he knocked a half a second off or something, he was gone again. So I don't know if he was managing fuel. I know at the last 2 laps, he must have been fuel saving because he slowed right down. So perhaps it was a bit of that.
Well, we were actually wondering a little bit about fuel, but I wanted to ask you about your livery, a bit of a unique livery here, and I bet there's a story behind it.
Oh, yeah. My wife's pet recently passed away, so it's just a homage to him. Cheers, Sid.
Well, I love that, and I hate to hear that you guys lost a pet. That is always incredibly rough, I know. But is there anybody you'd like to thank for the run here today?
Yeah, just, you guys always put on a fantastic show. All of the CTC guys really making an effort at the moment to try and get the participations up for this series. So fingers crossed we can get more slots, more people racing, and anyone who's watching and hasn't tried yet, you should come and try the cars, because they are probably one of the best on the service for just jumping in and raw pace and driving, but they do make you sweat.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations again on a great run here today, Alex.
Thanks, guys.
That was Alex Millward, second place. And unfortunately, Tomas has not come to talk to us. I'm not sure what his English is like. It's been a while since we have chatted with him, but I'm pretty sure we have. But Tomas, definitely, if you're going to keep coming, come and give us a ring after the next race if you're around. In the meantime, we're going to close up with a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, a big thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media website and merchandise store. We're going to list those on the screen. But also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race will be at Mosport. Very similar to this one. A lot of fast corners. Going to be very hard to pass. That'll be Sunday, July 10th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here on your screen. And until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.